back to the Irish Guy channel. And yes, this is a video on Batman. I mean, I bet you're all looking at this and thinking,
oh, Irish Guy, you've clearly got a brain made of cranberry juice and the opinions of a Toblerone. Nobody cares what you think about movies. Oh, please just say something about Paul McShay.
well, yes, today, yeah, I'm doing a Batman video, but give it 2 weeks. Huge announcement coming mid-March. I mean, let me know in the comment section what you think it actually is. But let's just say, be prepared. This channel is about to turn into something completely different. But at the same time, something which is a bit familiar to what you already know me for. Right? I mean, I can't make it any more obvious than that. I mean, in 2 weeks. Right now, this Batman video is purely just to keep this channel ticking over until that announcement, right? This is big. Exciting announcement coming next week. Just hang tight. Something big is about to change. And maybe, just maybe whack that big fat red subscribe button, because honestly, this channel is soon going to be the place to be. But for now, sure, let's talk about Batman. Let's talk about the fact that I already know that this film is gonna make me feel like vomiting blood in my popcorn. So I have not seen it yet, obviously, but here's my prediction. This is going to be a 3-hour catastrophe. I mean, sitting in your seat in the multiplex watching this, I mean, after the first 5 scenes, you're very quickly gonna wish you were instead swimming in a puddle of cat piss. You're quickly gonna wish you were instead feeding grapes to Kevin Spacey in the bath. You're quickly gonna wish that you were milking a heavily pregnant bull on a farmyard in Stoke, or climbing into a coffin to cuddle with a corpse in a Texas graveyard. Honestly, the Batman. How many different times can you make the same movie over and over and over and over again? I mean, honestly, this is like the Wolverine, or the Suicide Squad, or the Amazing Spider-Man. Honestly, give it 5 years, and they're probably gonna bring out a reboot of the Deadpool. Just whack a "the" in front of it, and you think it's a new movie. And you know what the horrific thing is? I already know this is inevitably going to blow up at the box office. Millions of people are going to flock to watch this thing. But honestly, you're going to be more dissatisfied than any partner of Enrique Iglesias. I mean, apparently is a knob no bigger than a sausage roll, right? There is no need for this film. This movie does not have to exist. Actually, no, more than that. It should not exist. The Dark Knight trilogy is some of the greatest cinema of all time. A thematic masterpiece. I mean, to me, Christian Bale is Batman. Let's not forget, DC films are mostly wet garbage. I mean, the entire premise of these films is trying to plagiarize and capture the realistic, gritty, urban feel to The Dark Knight. But instead, all you managed to make so far are just 2-hour bore fests featuring stale dialogue and actors taking themselves so seriously that they cause you just bear a look of constipation on their face. Honestly, throughout the entire Batman vs Superman film, Henry Cavill just constantly looked like he needed to introduce more fruit, veg, and all brand into his breakfast. But aside from that one Joker success in 2019, all the DC films, they look like sandy garbage. I mean, who actually wants to go and watch Aquaman or Shazam? And the worrying thing is, they're not stopping. Soon, our cinemas are going to be polluted with films like Batgirl, Blue Beetle, and another Green Lantern. Price up, there's even going to be a 3rd Wonder Woman film. Excuse me while I bite a chunk of skin off my own foot. The Dark Knight Rises made over £1 billion at the box office. So don't reboot it, just leave it alone. As everyone sat down in July 2012 to watch that film, that should have been the end of it. No more Batman talk for at least 30 years, right? I mean, you're not gonna top what you've done. Nah, instead, they waited 13 months before cloning another Batman, giving the gig to Ben Affleck. I mean, isn't Bruce Wayne supposed to be portrayed by a slender, suave man at the peak of his powers? You know, like Gotham's answer to James Bond. Not, you know, someone who looks like a chunky Wolverine. And despite that DC film being about as entertaining as a jar of pig vomit, they've again tried to pick another Batman. This time, Robert Pattinson. You know, that teenage vampire off those god-awful Twilight films? I'm sorry, what? You're giving the role of arguably the world's most iconic superhero to that limp noodle who played Cedric Diggory. I mean, has anyone ever seen those Twilight movies? I've seen 20 minutes of one, and honestly, it was like watching a homemade video of your nan chewing earwax out of the cat's ear. Honestly, the dialogue and acting, I would sooner live on a diet of nothing but hamster meat and melted Maltesers for the next 6 months before ever sticking on that film again. I mean, to be fair, I was dragged to it by my cousin in 2008, but still, horrific. I mean, apparently it's a straight fight for the role of Batman between him and Nicholas Hoult. You know, that weird kid off About a Boy? I mean, tell Hugh Grant back then in 2002 that his nerdy child co-star, who clearly used to cut his own hair over a bin, would one day be auditioning for Batman. And he'd probably have escorted you to the local loony bin. I mean, come on, were they really going to give the job of Batman to that skinny smackhead off Skins? But Robert Pattinson, his fans are crazy. I mean, you know the way Jake Paul has brought younger eyes to the sport of boxing in the USA? Well, at the Batman premiere on Friday, is the theater suddenly going to be full of 15-year-old schoolgirls trying to kiss the screen?
Robert Douglas Thomas Pattinson, if you did not stan Edward Cullen back in damn 2009, 2010, if you weren't a fan of Twilight, then I'm pretty sure that you were probably watching damn Lloyd in Space, or you were busy still watching damn Disney's Recess, King Bop, and Bubbling Ding Dong while we were watching Twilight, the phenomenon. Oh my god, I'm about to meet Robert Douglas Thomas Pattinson. Like, oh my god, it's about to happen. I'm about to meet my damn king from 2009, 2010. I'm about to meet literal Edward Cullen. Robert Douglas Thomas Pattinson walks out. Yep, you heard right. He looked incredible. I'm like, Robert, like waving really big. I'm like, hi. And then he's like, buddy, like, how's it going? And I was like, oh my god, good. I was like, and I kind of like said it in like a surprise way. I was like, oh my god, you look great.
Bazzi, I'm surprised. After surviving that Twilight fan base, I'm surprised the man even still has the hunger to act. Or, you know, live life. Because Ozzy, the most maniacal fans in the world are hormonal teenage girls. I mean, Christ, these films were pre-One Direction, and we saw how ridiculous that hype got in America. So Robert Pattinson got the full force of hormones before they got distracted by Niall Horan. I mean, Christ, even to this day, I'm guessing that Harry Styles has women mailing him chunks of their own armpit hair in the post. I mean, poor old Liam Payne walked through any shopping centre without wearing a hat, and he'll probably have an army of dinner ladies trying to stuff him into the boot of their car. Honestly, this guy, he couldn't leave his house. He wouldn't have been able to take a dump at a train station bathroom, because you just know that within 20 minutes, somebody would have broken into the septic tank to sell the toilet paper he'd used on eBay. It was just scary. But Pattinson, after what? 5 intense Twilight films. I'm surprised he's not now stuffed in a mental asylum, rocking back and forth under a blanket whilst trying to chew off his fingers. Honestly, this is a man who 3 days after he was initially cast as that wooden personality-less vampire, there was a petition online signed by 75,000 teenagers demanding he be recast as he was too ugly. He was stalked, professionally stalked by paparazzi for the best part of a decade. I mean, come on. How is he not a paranoid wreck, living in a Wi-Fi-less shack in Guam, armed with nothing but a hammer and a gun? I'm sorry, but after years of such intense scrutiny, I mean, Twilight was an utter worldwide phenomenon. He would have had teenage girls in Hong Kong sticking up a poster of his face above their bed. I mean, he would have had girls in Swahili sending him love letters in the post. There would have been people on the outskirts of Papua New Guinea begging him to marry them on the internet. Honestly, how intense is that? Most human beings, they would be so mentally exhausted and fried, surely he would never want to act again. And if he did, maybe just resign himself to small indie films. But instead, you are once again dipping your head into another intense demographic. You know, the comic book nerds. I mean, whereas before, sure, you had hormonal teenagers raiding the bins outside your London flat, you know, just stealing empty crisp packets and old boxes of Weetabix so they could sniff your scent while on their bed. But now, if you do a bad job as Batman, you are going to have a colossal tidal wave of attic-dwelling virgins demanding that someone cut off your feet while you sleep. You know, a bunch of Annie Wilkes. I mean, Bobby P, I don't mean to scare you, but Ben Affleck is a much more experienced actor than you, right? I mean, he's a confident, extremely successful Hollywood movie star. And yet, because of the pressure of playing such a colossal character, here's what he dropped out of this film.
In an interview with The Hollywood Report last year, Bennett said, "I started drinking too much around the time of the Justice League, and it's a hard thing to confront and face and deal with. This was also the reason that he initially quit the DC universe, dropping out of his solo Batman film."
I mean, I'm not surprised. Can you imagine the utter wave of online abuse he would have received after that BVS flop? If I was in reading all those tweets on the couch, then yeah, I would probably also suddenly have started to pour whiskey into my cereal. I would also be tempted to drink Sambuca out of a shoe. So, oh Christ above, Robert, I hope you're prepared for a backlash. I mean, hopefully Pattinson doesn't make life too hard for himself by, you know, alienating the entire superhero fan base, right?
Batman is not a superhero, Pattinson told Willie Geist. "It's weird, I always balk at it. It doesn't count. You need to have, like, magical powers or something."
Yeah, I'm sure Batman fans would have loved hearing that. I mean, after about a month of comic book fans threatening to stab him in the knee with a fork, yeah, he meekly apologizes.
The Twilight star also apologized for riding Batman fans after he previously said the character isn't really a hero because he doesn't have any actual superpowers. Pattinson said, "I wasn't educated about the subject. People got very angry about it. It's bizarre."
Wasn't educated about Batman. Oh, Christ above, this is going to be a disaster. Batman is one of the most suave, intimidating, inspirational characters who every child wants to be, right?
Robert Pattinson confirms Batman is a weirdo in the Batman.
What does that even mean? What? So is Bruce Wayne now sitting at home collecting Pokemon cards in his empty shed, playing Minecraft 13 hours a day, whilst buying bags of bathwater on the internet? I mean, correct well, is he the type of guy to spend his day sniffing bus seats and rubbing dead mice all over his face? Like, what do you mean he is a weirdo? But why are you doing this, Robert? You've already signed up for the scary tension of being analyzed by teenage girls across the globe back in the days of 2010. Why are you agreeing to do this all over again? You were the main star of a franchise which grossed $3.3 billion. I mean, for about 5 years straight, your face was probably the best-selling lunchbox in the USA. So just go build a mansion in Hawaii. Live on a beach drinking sangria for the rest of your days. Just retire. I'm almost scared from it now because I know Batman is such a beloved and enormous character in modern day culture. And if you play him wrong, then to a lot of people that is the equivalent of you personally spitting in their mother's eye. They're all going to be personally offended and angry. Come on, you've got over $100 million in the bank. You clearly don't need to do this. For years, this guy's been portrayed in the media as someone who clearly has the brains of a bathroom sink. I mean, they treat this man not as some genuine actor, a thespian artist. No, because of his Twilight past, they just treat him like any dullard boy band member. You know, as if this was Zayn Malik pretending to act.
Robert Pattinson admits he struggled to understand the plot to Christopher Nolan's Tenet while making a big budget movie. Robert Pattinson claims he doesn't know how to act and reveals he punches himself in the face and drinks mud from puddles to prepare for scenes.
Oh, the critics are going to eat him alive after this film. Here's my initial prediction. Come back to this in 3 days' time and I promise you, Batman will have been a big, massive flop. Anyway, that's what this is. What do you think? Alright, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Is Batman gonna be a flop? Stick around with the big announcement coming soon on this channel. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.